How are you?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Okay, so I have a little different question. I know normally I'm asking you about breathing. Um, so this question is for me, and then I work with kids with autism, and they
Okay.
have they have the same issue that I'm about to talk about, probably times 5 or 10. So I have auditory defensiveness.
Okay.
So I've had it for as long as I can remember, but I'm pretty sure I did not have it when I was little. It was something I grew into, particularly like late teens, and worked on it with some OT and what's called brain gym years ago,
Okay.
and
Yep. Yep.
that helped a lot. Um, when I was a kid, like I grew up in Minnesota, and when the snow got packed too densely, I couldn't go outside to play because the sound of it would literally just go through my bones.
Do you have any other sort of sensitivities? Do you have like a visual or the smells or anything like that? Skin?
I don't have the same degree of olfactory. It's not. I have a high olfactory sense,
Hmm.
but it doesn't get defensive. Like I can be around smells without being adversely affected, but the sounds, like so crunching snow, crunching sounds, like I used to not be able to unpack something packed in styrofoam because it would literally just make my eyeballs roll back. It was terrible. So that that specific tone, decibel, whatever it is, I can tolerate that now. I can better than tolerate it. I can really function around it, but everything's always too loud for me. I mean, I have a pretty
Okay.
soft voice.
And do you ever find that like you end up grinding on thoughts or anything like that? Is it just the sound, or is there also like a thought that gets in your head or anything like that?
No, I haven't found it associated with any
Okay.
thoughts. It's just
Good. Good. Good.
purely a sound, and it's like being pinched or something. It just really
Yeah.
hurts.
I'm looking something up here. Let me find this real quick. Um, did you happen to do the vital centers classes last weekend?
No.
Okay, so let's have you do this. There was a blend I was going to try to have you use, but let's just do this. Do you have um do you happen to have Pettigrew?
Actually, I think I do. I mean,
Okay,
it's a little
let's
one,
have
so I'm
you let's
assuming.
yeah, that's perfect. Because you're just going to inhale it.
Okay.
I mean, if it kind of works for you, we might go topical and have you start rubbing it all over your head and around your ears and everything. But at first, let's just have you do inhalation. And there is a pattern that I'm going to look up, and I'll give it to Sam to post here. Um, just a sec here. So will you post that for her?
Mhm.
So she's going to post this, and the emphasis here is going to be on the jaws and the temples.
Okay.
It's basically the cranial pattern, but I want you to do the jaws and the temples, hit all of them, but heavy emphasis on the jaws and the temples. And if that starts to bring you some relief, then we'll probably have you go like taking an internal and make it into like a lotion or an ointment, and then have you apply it topically on the head and the throat, like around the ears and the back of the neck, and then on the throat itself. Do you have any? You do actually have a neck issue, huh? Because that's what you're doing the breathing stuff for. Yeah, that's probably part of it. How is the breathing stuff coming with the neck and all that? Is that getting better?
So my I can't even remember the name. The muscles on the side that were locked up initially.
Oh, yes, the scalenes.
Those are pretty free.
Okay.
I just had a PT consult on Friday, and she touched the back of my neck and the back of my shoulders, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're tight." I don't even feel it. So I think I was more tight before I even saw her. But I'm not in any pain anymore from
Okay. Do we have you doing the vetiver at the base of the skull?
No.
Let's have you do that as well. So inhale the pettigrin, and then vetiver all along the base of the skull, all the way around to the ears. And that helps to relax there's this plane of fascia on the back part of your head called the nuchal ligament. And it's not a ligament, it's just a plane of fascia. But it will help to open up the head and neck a little bit. And, part of the issue why this could be happening is you have those two rope muscles that come down each side, the sternocleidomastoid, and they'll heavily impact the ears. And that you're having neck issues and having this is probably not a coincidence. And I still would treat it the way that we're doing. Still keep doing your breathing about opening up the neck and the chest a bit, and do the vetiver on the back, and let's have you augment with doing the pettigrin. And I think that should be quite helpful. Yeah, like do it every day, like even if you could do it twice a day, but at least once a day, like at the end of the day or something.
Okay. So the other defense is tactile, but it's only at the very top of my head, right above the crown chakra. And I don't have it all the time, but sometimes I can't even like put my hand an inch over the top of my head.
Yeah, that's still probably the same issue. Like it's, I suspect that the nuchal ligament's pretty wound up.
Okay.
And it will come all the way actually up into the forehead.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, sometimes it gets so wound up that we have to treat it all the way down to the bottom of the tailbone, but still always like start real localized and then eventually start unwinding it as it goes, as it starts to, basically shift and change. I kind of keep unwinding it all the way down, but that's probably still the same issue. Yeah.
Okay. So
Like
then
a lot of times when people have the nuchal ligament issue here, like if you touch like the top of their head and just with your finger and like push down, it's very, very painful. Like, and there's like underneath the bone there's like a little artery. And so certain kinds of headaches, like in the old days, we would get in and, we'd do these like cranial manipulations, and then we'd use our thumb and we'd just apply really sustained pressure for it. And a lot of times you could wipe the headache out. But with people that had this, we didn't really have a name for it. We just called it like a nuchal ligament issue. There was no syndrome or anything. But we would actually have to drop down and treat the base of the skull and where the neck and the upper back kind of meet. Like you just keep on winding that area. And then you kind of hit the back of the head, and then eventually making your way up, over several sessions. And then eventually you could get in and do that maneuver. But one of the issues was that that area gets really super sensitive, and almost like you said, like it's not even sometimes to the touch. You could just put your hand over and
Yeah.
it will start getting a little bit agitated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just you talking about doing it is making my eyes water. So
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
wound
Oh, I
up.
feel bad for you. Yeah. Yeah. But try
Um,
and wind it up like that. And if you feel
okay.
like as you're doing it, you're like, I feel like a little glitch here in my head, put a little vetiver on it. Like, sometimes it'll be
Okay.
like up on the skull, just, rub a little vetiver in it and just see how that treats you.
Okay. So then thank you. And the kids that I work with that
Mhm.
have auditory defensiveness,
Mhm.
um, you know, most of the kids that I work with are either low or moderate, moderately autistic,
Mhm.
and several of them have minimal speech.
Mhm.
So like I couldn't really, get them to do a pattern. I could definitely have
Right.
worked with them with inhaling things. They're great with scents. They absolutely love it. But
Try the petitgrain for them, and you could even like diffuse it in the room. So,
okay.
it's calming, it's soothing, it helps to improve brain function, reduce confusion. It is somewhat antispasmodic, even on the inhalation. It would be better to be able to go through and treat it, but when you're dealing with that population, sometimes you have to step back and do like a little bit bigger approach that might be a little bit slower.
Okay.
And like I would say that would be the start. There is a blend. If we find this is working, there is the blend out of that last week in class called, it's for a part of the uh it's just a part of the brain anatomy, but it's called corpus striatum.
Hmm.
And so, it eventually it's part of, well, we don't need to go into it. But if this kind of works, then we might go a little bit deeper with that. But
Okay.
let's just see if this is even hitting it. Like, a big component of it here is the petitgrain. But let's see what this does.
Okay. So you're thinking that, I've had this for like 40 plus years and it's the ligament is the cause.
I think, well, it's a chain reaction. I think it's the plana fascia that also throws off the sternocleidomastoid that throws
Hmm.
things off in the ear, and because of the breath and some of the function, has thrown off some of the functioning components of the basal ganglia and the corpus striatum. Yeah, and so it's
Interesting.
just like this. So this chain reaction. And so if you just like reverse engineer it, like, okay, if this is what's probably causing it, let's just start stepping it backwards. Right. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's a little bit of a big picture approach. It's not like we can just go, take this and it's going to get better. But like if you just keep unwinding it, eventually you'll get to where it's unwound and you can just go, yeah, I'm kind of done. I might need to tune up from time to time. So it's like you're treating it for a while, but it's not going to be like, this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. It's just like, this is what you got to do for a while. And then, we reevaluate, you might do something different, but at some point you should be able to get it to where you don't have to do maintenance on it.
That would be so great. Thank you, Greg. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
appreciate it.
You're so welcome.